Your child could be sitting right beside you using their phone, and you may have no idea what's happening on that screen. They could be in a group chat you don't know about, talking to someone you've never met, being bullied, seeing things they weren't ready for, or being pressured to send something, and they may not tell you. So today, I want to show you what children can actually encounter online, the signs that something may be wrong, and the specific things you can teach them to do before they ever need your help. Because online safety isn't just about controlling what your child sees, it's about preparing them for what happens when you aren't looking. 1. The biggest mistake is assuming the danger looks dangerous. If you imagine an online safety problem, you might picture an obvious stranger contacting your child, but that's not necessarily how it starts. It can look like a child from school adding them to a group chat, someone their age sending them a link, a new online friend who seems funny and friendly, someone offering them attention when they're feeling lonely, or another child saying, "Come on, everyone's doing it." That's why simply telling your child, "Don't talk to strangers online," isn't enough. A child needs to understand that someone doesn't have to look dangerous to behave dangerously, and they need to know what manipulation can sound like. For example, "Don't tell your parents. This is our little secret. If you really trust me, you'll do it. If you don't send it, I'll show everyone. You're mature enough to handle this." Those sentences should set off an alarm. And I'd actually practice them with your child, not in a scary way. Just say, "What would you do if someone online told you to keep a secret from me?" Let them answer. Then tell them exactly what you want them to do. Stop responding, save what happened if it's safe to do so, and tell a trusted adult. 2. Teach your child that attention can be a trap. This one is particularly important as children get older. A stranger doesn't necessarily start by asking for something inappropriate. They might start by being nice. They compliment your child. They remember things your child told them. They seem interested in the same games, music, or hobbies. They make your child feel understood. And over time, the conversation becomes more personal. That's why I wouldn't only teach children. Never talk to strangers. I'd teach them to recognize behavior that crosses a boundary. Someone repeatedly asking for private information. Someone wanting conversations to stay secret. Someone trying to move them to another app. Someone asking for photos. Someone making them feel guilty for saying no. Someone becoming angry when they don't respond. Those are the things your child needs to recognize. Because the important question isn't just, who is this person? It's, how is this person making you feel? And what are they asking you to do? 3. Pay attention when your child's behavior suddenly changes. You don't need to read every message your child receives to notice that something may be wrong. Sometimes the first clue is your child's behavior. Maybe they suddenly become very protective of their phone. Maybe they're constantly checking notifications. Maybe they seem anxious after using a particular app. Maybe they're staying awake late to use their device. Maybe they stop wanting to go to school. Maybe they're suddenly avoiding a particular friend. Maybe they're unusually quiet. Or maybe they become angry every time you ask about their phone. Now, none of these things automatically mean your child is in danger. Teenagers can be moody. Children can become private. They can spend too much time online without anything sinister happening. So don't turn every behavioral change into an interrogation. But if something has noticeably changed, pay attention. And don't only ask, "What are you doing on your phone?" Ask, "I've noticed you've seemed upset lately. What's going on?" The phone may not actually be the problem. It may simply be where the problem is showing up. 4. Give your child a plan for the moment something goes wrong. This is where I think a lot of online safety advice falls short. We give children rules. Don't share your address. Don't send pictures. Don't meet someone you've met online. Don't click strange links. But eventually, a child is going to make a mistake. They might click something. They might reply to someone. They might send something they regret. They might join a group chat they shouldn't have. And now they're scared. So give them a plan before that happens. I would teach them 4 simple steps. Stop. Don't keep engaging with someone who is making you uncomfortable. Save. If something threatening or inappropriate has happened, don't automatically delete the evidence. Tell, go to a parent, teacher, or another trusted adult. And then block a report, depending on the situation. But there's one more thing I would tell them. You won't be in trouble for coming to me for help. That sentence matters because children often don't tell us after they've made a mistake. They think, "I shouldn't have replied. I shouldn't have sent that. I'm going to get my phone taken away. Mom is going to be furious." And so they try to fix it themselves. That's when a small problem can become much bigger. 5. Have a conversation about pictures before they need it. Don't wait until your child is old enough to have a serious problem. Have the conversation early and keep it age appropriate. Your child needs to understand that once an image leaves their phone, they can't completely control where it goes next. And they need to know that someone asking for a picture doesn't automatically make it okay to send one. Even if it's someone they know, even if it's someone they like, even if that person says, "I'll send you one too," or "I promise I won't show anyone," or "If you don't, I'll be embarrassed." Your child needs permission to say no, and they need to know that if they already sent something and regret it, they can still come to you. Don't make the conversation, "How could you be so stupid?" Make the lesson, "If this ever happens, come to me immediately. We will figure out what to do." 6. Teach them that not everything online is real. There's another part of online safety that doesn't get enough attention. Your child can be sitting in a room full of people and still feel completely alone because they're comparing their life to what they see online. Everyone looks happier, everyone has more friends, everyone is more attractive, everyone is doing something exciting, and your child is sitting there thinking, "What's wrong with me?" They also need to understand that people can present completely different versions of themselves online. A person can appear friendly and still be manipulative. A person can appear successful and be struggling. A video can look spontaneous and be heavily edited. A story can be presented as fact when it isn't. So one of the most useful things you can teach your child is to pause and ask, "How do I know this is true? Who made this? Why do they want me to believe it?" Those questions become increasingly valuable as children grow up. You're not just teaching online safety. You're teaching them how to think. 7. Decide what monitoring looks like before there's a problem. This is where parents often get stuck. How much should I monitor? Should I check their phone? Should I know their passwords? Should I follow their accounts? Should I read their messages? There's no single rule that works for every child and every age. A 7-year-old and a 17-year-old should not have the same level of privacy. What matters is that your approach changes as your child's maturity changes. When children are young, you will probably need much more supervision. As they get older, the goal should gradually shift from constant monitoring to increasing responsibility. And if you do have a reason to check something, be honest about why. Don't create a secret surveillance system that your child eventually discovers. Instead, make the expectations clear. This is how we're going to handle phones in our family. These are the rules. As you show that you can handle more responsibility, you'll get more privacy. That gives your child something to work toward. 8. Don't make the phone the only conversation. This may sound obvious, but it's easy to forget. Your child doesn't live in the online world and then separately live in the real world. They're connected. A problem with a friend can start at school and continue through a group chat. A disagreement can follow them home. Bullying doesn't necessarily stop when the school day ends. And something they see online can affect how they feel about themselves offline. So instead of having one annual conversation called online safety talk, make the subject part of ordinary life. When something appears in the news, talk about it. When your child tells you about something that happened in a group chat, ask questions. When they show you a funny video, ask what they like about it. You don't have to turn every conversation into a lecture. You just want your child to know that their online world is something you can talk about. The rules I'd want every child to remember. If you have younger children, keep this simple. I'd want them to remember these. You don't have to reply to someone just because they message you. You never have to send a picture because someone asks. You don't keep uncomfortable secrets for people online. Someone being nice doesn't mean you owe them trust. If someone makes you uncomfortable, you can leave the conversation. And if you make a mistake online, tell an adult. And there's one final thing I'd tell parents. Don't wait for your child to become a teenager before you start preparing them for the online world. By then, they've already learned a lot from other people. Start when they're young. Keep the conversation short. Make them practical. Teach them what manipulation sounds like. Teach them how to say no. Teach them what to do when something feels wrong. And most importantly, make sure they know they don't have to solve an online problem alone, because you won't always be sitting next to them. You won't always see the message. You won't always know who they're talking to. And eventually you won't be able to monitor everything anyway. But if you've taught them how to recognize a problem, how to get out of it, and who to turn to, you've given them something that a parental control app never can. The ability to protect themselves when you're not there. Discovering what your child is doing online is only half the battle. The real challenge is understanding why kids pull away, hide their struggles, and enter these dark spaces in the first place. In fact, when researchers looked into the most extreme cases of youth violence and isolation, they found a startling pattern, and it wasn't social media, video games, or bad parenting. Click the video on your screen right now to learn what school shooters have in common and why it's not what you think. It might completely change how you view your child's behavior today.